Yesterday we talked about the Z radical. My friend Amanda and we talked about the Z radical. Excuse me. And it's very interesting properties for wound healing. If you're interested in checking out that video, send me an email, ben@ksco.com. We'll get you on the list. And speaking of wound healing, speaking of connective tissue, the Z radical product from Longevity is made with something called fucoidin, which is a long-chain sugar, polysaccharide technically, and it's involved. It has a lot of biological properties, but one of its most important properties is that it helps the body build connective tissue. We've been talking about connective tissue breakdown and connective tissue breakdown as it relates to the aging process, the disease process, the health process, the building process. Connective tissue makes up about half of our bodies. 40 to 50% of the body is connective tissue. And most of the connective tissue is something called collagen. Most people have heard of collagen. And collagen building strategies are one of the hallmark strategies, one of the main ways dermatologists work, and plastic surgery works by helping the body. Actually, plastic surgery works by imitating collagen building. It doesn't really build collagen, but it imitates the effects of collagen building using nutritional supplementation. Exercise is a great way to build collagen using exfoliation techniques, alpha hydroxy acids, retinol, or vitamin A, topical use of retinol and vitamin A. Those are much more effective ways to really build collagen, but some folks like the plastic surgery approach. Plastic surgery approach kind of mimics collagen building. In any case, collagen makes up, or connective tissue makes up about half of the body, and much of that is collagen. Connective tissue is the stuff that holds our internal structures in place, holds our whole body in place. You can think of connective tissue as like Jell-O that holds fruit in place in a Jell-O mold. The connective tissue is the stuff that holds the fruit in place. The fruit would be like our organs. If you have a prolapsed uterus or prolapsed bladder, that's a sign that the connective tissue is breaking down. A prolapsed organ is like a piece of fruit that is kind of dropping down as the Jell-O mold degrades. Prolapse is a sign that our Jell-O, or our connective tissue, is breaking down. Jell-O is actually a form of connective tissue. Jell-O is hydrolyzed or broken down collagen, cow collagen. It's cow connective tissue. Connective tissue is mostly fibers. There's some goo in there. I call connective tissue fibers and goo. The fibers are the collagen. There's also some other fibers. One's called elastin, which has, as the name implies, a sort of elastic nature. And then there's the goo. The goo is sugary stuff, complex sugars, not sucrose, not table sugar, but kind of a gooey, slimy kind of sugar. Connective tissue is mostly fibers, the same fibers that are produced in excess when you have conditions like fibrosis. And one of the most important elements in the production of fibers, whether it's excess fibers or whether it's just healthy fibers, is the hormone estrogen. Estrogen is so highly regarded as a fiber-forming element that it's actually used in topical creams for preventing wrinkles. Wrinkle formation is due to a breakdown in this connective tissue and connective tissue fibers, specifically in estrogen, because of its ability to help stimulate the secretion of fibers, is sometimes used as topical cream, I remember when I was doing pharmacy 20 years ago or so, we used to dispense estrogen vaginal cream that women would use for menopause. We would dispense it as an anti-aging and anti-wrinkle product. You can also use plant estrogens. Remember, plants make estrogen-like compounds too. They're called phytoestrogens. The word phyto means plant. So plant estrogens or phytoestrogens can be used like this too. Sometimes you'll see soy and soy extract and soy components in various skincare products. A couple of interesting soy components are called diazidin and genistein. These are really interesting anti-aging ingredients. They're phytoestrogens. There's lots of studies that show that these phytoestrogens can have sun protection properties. You can make your own anti-aging cream by using soy in a cream. You can use tempeh. Tempeh has got especially high amounts of diazidin and genistein and phytoestrogens. You can make yourself a nice anti-aging skincare mask by putting some tempeh in with some honey or maybe some avocado. Honey and avocado both have their own skin health benefits. Honey has lactic acid and B vitamins and enzymes. All of these can help stimulate collagen on their own, and they can help improve the penetration of phytoestrogens like diazidin. By the way, diadzine is how you pronounce it, or how I think it is, diadzin, D-A-I-D-Z-E-I-N, diadzin. kind of tough to pronounce, and genistin, Genistin. You can mix some tempeh in with your honey and your avocado. Avocado's also got some moisturizing oils in it, omega-6 moisturizing oils, moisturizing fats that can help leave your skin soft and smooth. You can also make your own soy-based creams and lotions. You can get some soy isoflavone capsules at the health food store, or you can buy genistin or diazein, and you can break open the capsules and add them to your skincare products. You want to do it fresh because the soy and the isoflavones are going to break down in your skincare cream. They kind of smell pretty bad, and they may even break down your cream too. Or you can add it right to coconut oil. Coconut oil is a little bit more stable than cream and lotion. And if you use the unrefined form of coconut oil, you get the benefit of coconut oil's vitamin E content. Vitamin E has its own anti-aging benefits and sun protection and skin softening benefits. You can do the same thing with other plant materials. You don't have to use soy. You can use flax seeds, which have phytoestrogens in them. Grind up some flax seeds and add them into a skincare product, a skincare mask, or you can add flaxseed oil right to your skincare cream. You're not going to see flaxseed oil in a lot of skincare creams because flaxseed oil is very, very, very unstable stuff, but you can add it fresh to your skincare cream, get the benefits of the phytoestrogens. Flaxseed oil also contains vitamin E and some other active materials that you can use that have some skin benefits. Yams, sweet potatoes make a great mask. They got, in addition to having phytoestrogens, yams have beta carotene, phytonutrients. Beta carotene is an anti-aging and sun protective substance. You can use herbs like fenugreek, red clover. You might want to soak your red clover or fenugreek in some coconut oil first to get the active ingredients out. There's lots of things you can do to exploit phytoestrogens and make your own anti-aging creams. Estrogen's a growth hormone. Its main role in the body is to make a baby, to turn two tiny little cells, a sperm cell and an egg cell, to turn these two tiny little cells into a fetus and then ultimately into a human being, the ultimate example of biological growth. So it makes perfect sense that estrogen would also play an important role when it comes to fiber secretion. I'll tell you what I mean when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. Okay, we are talking connective tissue. We're talking connective tissue breakdown, connective tissue health, and we're specifically talking about how estrogen is involved in the building of connective tissue. Estrogen, the female hormone estrogen, is the ultimate building hormone, the ultimate example of a building hormone. It's one of its major roles is to build a baby. From a couple of little cells, from a sperm cell and an egg cell, we get a fetus, and then we get an infant, and estrogen plays a major, major role in this building process. Estrogen also stimulates the growth of cells, but estrogen's kind of a mixed bag. It's got a good side, it's got a bad side. It's got a lot of negative literature associated with the use of internal estrogen. Is a really, really potent hormone. It's active in super tiny amounts, nanograms, even picograms. A nanogram is a billionth of a gram. A picogram is 1,000 times smaller than that. Whatever, 1,000 times a billion, 1,000,000,000,000 times, it's 1,000,000,000th of a gram. And that's the kind of measurements that you're talking about when you talk about the activity of estrogen. That's super, 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 super active stuff. That's why I'm not a big believer in hormone replacement therapy, but topical estrogen creams may give you some wound healing benefits and may give you some anti-aging benefits without the systemic or internal toxicity that you get from hormone replacement type doses. Estrogen creams, as I say, have been used as a facial treatment to prevent wrinkles and other signs of aging, and the same mechanisms that allow it to keep your skin tissue young looking and taut and anti-wrinkled may also benefit you if you're dealing with a wound. You don't need to get a prescription necessarily for estrogen cream, but you might want to consider making your own phytoestrogen cream if you have a wound. Your own soy cream, breaking open a couple of those soy isoflavone capsules. You can use herbal materials, as I said before. We're going to break. Fenugreek is a great phytoestrogen loaded herb. You can make fenugreek, a tincture of fenugreek, or a glycerite of fenugreek. Glycerites are herbal extracts that are done into glycerin. You can make it you can put it into oil. Probably oil is a little bit better, estrogen being fat soluble. And take your fenugreek, you soak it in oil, or you take your red clover, which is another phytoestrogen-rich herb, and you soak it in oil, and then you let it sit for a little bit, and then you can use the oil, either put it in a cream, or you can use the oil straight. Have yourself a nice estrogen-rich oil. You can it makes a great anti-aging oil that you can use on your skin. Put a little vitamin E in there to protect the oil, and you won't need to spend a lot of money on a fancy schmancy wrinkle cream. Probably get a lot more benefit. Soy, of course, has phytoestrogens in it too, and soy may be particularly helpful for wound healing. As we were saying before we went to break, genistein, diazidin, these are the isoflavones. These are the active materials that are found in soy, and you can get those in health food stores or off of the internet. Break open a couple capsules, make your own wound healing cream or anti-aging facial cream. And you can also take the capsules orally, and you'll get some of the benefits that way too. I want to talk a little bit. I want to finish talking about hormones here and talk a little bit about, finish talking about steroid hormones and talk about a really interesting hormone that we don't talk a lot about. We don't even consider it as a hormone, really. It's very, very interesting stuff. It's a gaseous hormone. Most hormones in the body are biochemicals. This is a hormone that's a gas. How do you like that? Your body actually produces a vapor that acts like a hormone. We talked about wound healing. Gosh, we must have been talking about wound healing now for going on a month. In terms of protein, we've talked about wound healing in terms of nitrogen. We've talked about wound healing in terms of arginine. Then we digressed into the polysaccharides. We talked about wound healing in DHEA. We talked about 7-keto-DHEA, which is a form of DHEA, a steroid hormone that doesn't have some of the side effects associated with DHEA. If you're getting older, and by getting older I'm talking about 40s, 50s, you might want to consider supplementing with either DHEA or 7-keto-DHEA, even if you're not dealing with wound healing problems. It's a wonderful, wonderful precursor hormone for testosterone and for estrogen and for progesterone, but it does have some wonderful wound healing benefits as well. We talked about taurine, we talked about chitosan and chitin. Now I want to come full circle back to arginine, which is our amino acid, and specifically one of arginine's most important byproducts, something called nitric oxide. Now, some of you guys may have heard of nitric oxide. It's been in the news. It's been in the news especially in the last, I think since 1998, it's been in the news a lot. And there's a lot of products. If you go on Amazon or look at the advertisement side of the page on your Google search page, you're going to see dozens of various nitric oxide boosters. Nitric oxide supplements that supposedly help you make more nitric oxide, that provide the benefits of nitric oxide. Now, for the most part, at least in terms of the supplements that I've seen, they're mostly kind of silly. But that doesn't mean that nitric oxide isn't important stuff. Taking supplements that help you build nitric oxide, now I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that that's going to work, but nitric oxide is super, super, super important stuff. It's a very tiny little molecule, nitric oxide. It's nothing more than a little piece of nitrogen attached to a little piece of oxygen. That's it. NO, nitric oxide. And which is about as simple as it gets when it comes to molecules. But despite this tiny little size, nitric oxide is one of the most powerful molecules in the body. There are so many different places where nitric oxide plays a significant role in biochemistry and in biochemical health, even though it's a tiny little structure. One molecule of nitrogen, one molecule of oxygen. In the world of molecules, or one atom of nitrogen, one atom of oxygen, in the world of molecules, that, folks, is as tiny as it gets. But despite this teeny tiny size, nitric oxide packs a major, major, powerful biochemical punch. Remember, nitrogen is super high energy. Nitrogen is super explosive. Think nitroglycerin. Think TNT. And then you stick an oxygen on that nitrogen, and man, do you have a powerful element. Nitrogen itself is very explosive, but oxygen enhances explosions. It accelerates explosions. It accelerates combustion. And the combination of nitrogen and oxygen, man, you've got a lot of potential for doing work. And indeed, nitrogen plus oxygen, whether we're talking nitric oxide in the body or nitrous oxide in the brain, laughing gas. Nitrous oxide's a little bit bigger. It's got 2 nitrogen chunks. And nitrous oxide, which is 2 nitrogens and an oxygen, kind of like water. Instead of H2O, it's N2O. You can think of nitrous oxide as being an explosive version of water. And nitrous oxide is so incendiary, so combustible, it's actually used in race car engines. Nitrous oxide, of course, also has some interesting properties in the brain. And these have been explored since the 1700s, especially kings and queens and noblemen of Europe. They used to love to use laughing gas and nitrous oxide for, to get high, actually. That's why they use nitrous oxide. Anyway, we'll talk about nitric oxide and the power of nitrogen when we come back from our break. All right, we're back on the bright side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thank you for joining us. We got lines open for you at 855-660-4261, 855-660-4261. If we've left you on hold in the past, if you haven't gotten a chance to get on board and you got questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, longevity products, or if you have a success story you'd like to share, now's your opportunity. 855-660-4261 is our number. We'll continue talking about nitrous oxide, laughing gas, and then nitric oxide, which is not laughing gas, but it's a hormone gas, if you will. The gas that actually communicates messages to various cells and various structures in the body. Super, mega important stuff. And really important when it comes to building connective tissue, as it turns out. Also very, very, very important for the circulatory system, especially the heart and blood vessels. Also has a role to play in male sexual performance. And we'll talk about that as we continue talking about connective tissue building strategies on our next Bright Side episode. Facebook made users depressed in secret research. How do you like that? That's in the Mail. That's from the Mail Online. A controversial experiment where researchers used Facebook to explore the effects of, quote, emotional contagion, unquote. Emotional contagion is when emotional states are transferred from person to person, like a virus. If everyone in your office is in a good mood, chances are you're going to be in a good mood too. Apparently, Facebook decided to manipulate this phenomena of emotional contagion by changing the posts, by putting posts up or avoiding posts or eliminating posts, I think they did, to see how people responded to negative posts and to positive posts. They actually manipulated people's behavior, and according to a lot of folks, that's kind of sneaky, nasty pool. I don't know about Facebook sometimes. You hear all these things about Facebook and the CIA, and it certainly makes sense that if you want to manipulate a population, a social networking site could do a good job at doing that. What do you guys think about Facebook? I know a lot of folks don't even like using Facebook, and I don't really like using Facebook either, to tell you the truth, but it seems to be kind of a mixed bag because it is a good way to connect up with people. All right, 855-660-4261 is our number. Got a letter here from well, she doesn't want to mention her name. I'm not going to mention her name, but she says she's been trying to call in for weeks, but the question is a little personal. She's 80-plus years old, hasn't been to a doctor in 40-plus years. That doesn't seem to have harmed her any. After the death of her husband, her eyes were open. She agrees with everything I have to say about and she says, I've been telling my clients, she's a massage therapist, I've been telling my clients, we are not drug deficient, but nutrient deficient. I have helped many, many people with their problems. In fact, I almost have to laugh. This is this gal in the letter writing. In fact, I almost have to laugh at some of the things that you are saying, as I've known that for years. My question is, what would you do for a prolapsed colon? Now, as I was saying before, we went to our break. A prolapse is when the connective tissue sort of breaks down, the organs they prolapse, they drop. The connective tissue breaks down, the organs fall down. Think of your Jell-O mold. The Jell-O is connective tissue. The fruit in the Jell-O mold would be your colon, for example, your various organs. A prolapsed colon is when the Jell-O starts to degrade and the fruit drops down. So what do you do for a prolapsed colon? What you do is you build up your connective tissue. All prolapse issues, prolapse bladder, prolapse colon, prolapse uterus, prolapse whatever, all prolapse issues need to be regarded as a sign of connective tissue breakdown. Your body is, the connective tissue inside your body is breaking down. So what do you do? Well, always, first thing you want to do is eliminate things that are accelerating the breakdown, pro-inflammatory factors, and that always means food. Always, 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 always. And it doesn't matter if you don't think that you have a food problem. If you got a prolapse, you got any degenerative problem, anything's breaking down, more than likely some kind of food is getting into your system that's exacerbating or causing inflammation. And when you get this inflammation, it's very difficult for the body to rebuild, and it's very difficult for the body to heal and recover. So you got to eliminate the entrance into the body of problem foods, and that usually means something processed. Breads, pastas, you guys know what I'm going to talk about. You guys know the drill. Breads, pastas, rice, potatoes, cereal, fruit juice, etc. That's the first thing you want to do. And the second thing you want to do along the same lines is build the digestive system. And that starts with the gut, with the intestine, and it starts with bacteria in the intestine. Biolumin nightly essence. Must have. No option. even if you feel great, even if you feel healthy as can be. Probiotics are massively important. There's not a day that goes by without at least 1 or 2 or 3 major studies coming out that talk about how important probiotics are, how important the microbiome is. Do you know the microbiome, bacteria in the gut, are key players in how we process fats and fat metabolism? You know, obesity is directly related to dysbiosis, problems with gut bacteria. Do you know diabetes? Directly related. Blood sugar problems, directly related to gut bacteria. When was the last time your endocrinologist or your MD told you that your blood sugar is connected, or your elevation in blood sugar is connected to gut bacteria? Probably never. Because your endocrinologist, your doctor, probably doesn't keep up with the research. And this is not even new research. This is in the last couple of years. This link between gut bacteria and diabetes and blood sugar, that this link has been elucidated, has been known about by biochemists. So if your doctor is putting you on insulin and he's not putting you on probiotics, tell him to get on Scholar Google and Google probiotics, good bacteria, microbiome, and diabetes. Tell him to spend some time on his craft before he puts you on a drug. There's no drug in the world that's going to change your blood sugar, change your blood sugar without toxicity and without side effects. It's not going to change your blood sugar without forcing your liver or your pancreas to make insulin, without forcing your cells to listen to insulin. But there's lots of nutrients that can help your blood sugar without forcing cells or forcing glands to do what they don't want to do, including probiotics. So if you're diabetic, if you're interested in building connective tissue, if you got a digestive problem, if you're interested in losing weight, if you got estrogenic issues like fibrosis or, God forbid, estrogenic cancers, probiotics are also very important for helping the body process estrogen. When was the last time your gynecologist told you that? That good bacteria help the body process estrogen, and dysbiosis, or messed up bacteria in the gut, can actually increase the production of toxic estrogens that can result in all kinds of problems, including breast cancer and uterine cancer and fibrosis and uterine fibroids, etc. If you want to build connective tissue, you're interested in building up connective tissue, try the Z radical. The fucoidin is wonderful for helping with connective tissue building. Of course, the glucogel caps, same thing. Glucogel caps also help build up connective tissue for our friend who's dealing with a prolapsed uterus. Protein, of course, is also important for building connective tissue. Connective tissue is protein. But you can't just take in protein. You got to make sure you're absorbing protein. That means the digestive enzymes in apple cider vinegar, your ultimate enzymes in apple cider vinegar, and anything you could do to help improve absorption from the gut. Bile salts, for example, can be helpful. Pepsin can be helpful. Apple cider vinegar can be super helpful. Lots of great strategies for improving digestion, improving the digestion of protein and the absorption of protein. And the rate-limiting step in building connective tissue is vitamin C. No vitamin C, even if you got a great digestive system, even if you get all the protein you need and all the amino acids that you need, even if you're using your fucoidin from your Z radical or your glucosamine from your glucogel caps, if you don't have enough vitamin C, you're not building connective tissue. I sometimes wonder how much of our degenerative disease crisis is really a vitamin C deficiency crisis. And of course, one of the best ways to get your vitamin C and get your vitamin C in high concentrations is by using your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, sipping on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine all day long. Get 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, connective tissue building vitamin C, anti-wrinkle vitamin C, anti-aging vitamin C, pro-immunity vitamin C, anti-cancer vitamin C in your Beyond Tangy Tangerine. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. 855-660-4261 is our number. All right, we're back on The Bright Side. Pharmacist Ben here. Thank you for joining us. Some more ideas for building connective tissue, in addition to making sure you're absorbing protein, making sure that you're using your Z radical and your glucogel caps. And this is for our friend, our 80-year-old friend who wrote in about a prolapsed colon. In addition to making sure you're absorbing your protein using digestive enzymes and bile salts and apple cider vinegar and your glucogel caps and your Z radical, you might also want to throw in the probiotics, probiotic-enriched cheese and probiotic-enriched products from Jordan Rubin, in addition to your BioLumin Nightly Essence and Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Other wonderful strategies for helping build connective tissue. Make sure you're getting enough minerals. Your magnesium and calcium are especially important. Amino acids like arginine and taurine can be helpful. And we'll talk about building connective tissue up using nitric oxide building strategies in the coming days. We'll start on our next Bright Side episode on Monday. Got another letter from Montano who says, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to contact you. He's been diagnosed with lupus in 2012, and guess what? He's on prednisone. Surprise, surprise. And Plaquenil. Wow, what a nasty drug that is. Lisinopril, nicardipine, more nasty drugs, spironolactone, and other meds. Hopefully this is not the same single doctor that's doing all this. That's craziness. Craziness, you guys. One medication is bad enough, but once you start polypharmacy with all of these toxic medications, how can you know? How can a medical professional even know what the heck is happening inside the body? How can anybody know how all of these things are interacting? What is a medical professional thinking with this idea of polypharmacy where you're mixing and matching all of these different kinds of drugs? Poor Montano is not getting any better. His lupus isn't getting him any better, but he's on all of these drugs. He says, today I write to you because I want out, exclamation point, exclamation point. I want to get off the meds and onto the longevity program, exclamation point, exclamation point. I have started, I just don't know where to go. All right, well, here's what you do. You start off on your Healthy Start Pack, always. That gives you the Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients. Folks, no matter what your health condition is, start off with the Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients. Start off with the Healthy Start Pack. Costs you $120, $130 a month. It's well worth it. Well worth it. If you're thinking that you're going to get this kind of support for your health and well-being by using prescription drugs or by the medical model, you are completely missing the boat, folks. And it's only getting worse. Do you know your doctors don't work for you? Do you know the doctors who are prescribing you these deadly toxic drugs like Plaquenil and prednisone and lisinopril and nicardipine and spironolactone, these impossible to pronounce poisons? These doctors who are giving you and dispensing you and ordering you and telling you to take these prescription drugs, they don't work for you. They don't work for you. They work for the hospital. They work for Kaiser Permanente. They work for the HMOs. You think it's getting better? No, it's getting worse. Do you think Obama cares about helping people? No, Obama cares about helping drug companies. Obamacare is not about helping us. It's about helping the medical model. It's about entrenching the medical model. It's about making sure that the medical model is primal when it comes to healthcare. Well, the medical model has no business in healthcare. The medical model is only supposed to be helping us when we get hit by a car, hit by a bus, or we need stitching up after some kind of traumatic injury. That's the medical model's role. Medical model, get your nose out of the tent. You don't belong in people's health care. Now, if we're going to be complicit and advocate responsibility and allow the medical model to take over, it will take over. It's a monster. It's a leviathan, just like the state and just like the government is a leviathan. It could care less about you or me or our families. The medical model is there for one reason only. One reason only. The medical model is there to perpetuate itself, to keep itself in control, to keep itself primal, to make sure that it is where we go for health. That's the only thing the medical model cares about. It's the only thing the government cares about either. I hate to get off on a government rant, but for the most part, you think the government cares about its citizens? The government doesn't care about its citizens. It cares about itself. And the medical model is just an arm of this leviathan, this monster that purports to be caring about its citizens. The medical model doesn't care about its patients any more than the government cares about its citizens. So in any case, for Montano, who's dealing with lupus. Lupus is an autoimmune disease where the body attacks itself. The body attacks the connective tissue. The body attacks the collagen. Just like when you have type 1 diabetes, the body attacks the pancreas. Or if you have scleroderma, the body attacks skin cells. If you have psoriasis, same thing. The body attacks skin cells. These are all autoimmune issues. Lupus is just another example of an autoimmune issue. Whenever you have an autoimmune issue, in addition to the Mighty 90, in addition to the Healthy Start Pack, focus on, surprise, surprise, digestive health. And we'll be talking about autoimmunity and autoimmune issues on our weekly call this Sunday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 605-562-3140 is the number. If you're interested in joining us this Sunday, participant access code 444-973-POUND. In any case, if you have an autoimmune issue, you got a digestive issue, there is no such thing as an autoimmune disease that does not have a digestive component. Montano says he's on the nightly essence. That's awesome, but there's way more. You got to focus on problem foods that cause constipation, diarrhea, loose stools, heartburn, gas, or bloating. And the best way to remember, or the best way to keep track of those foods, is to write them down, keep running total, keep a notebook with all the foods that are causing problems and then eliminate those foods. That's what you always do when you have an autoimmune condition. That's what you always do when you have a digestive condition. Then, of course, all of the strategies for building connective tissue that we talked about for our 80-year-old friend. More protein, especially protein that features arginine, the amino acid arginine. Taurine can also help. Make sure you're using your Z-radical. That's very important. Z-radical actually is important not just for building connective tissue, but the Z-radical is also very important for helping with the immune system. There's so much literature. If you just go on scholar.google.com, scholar.google.com, that's the website, or that's the search engine, I should say, where you get just medical information, you get scientific information. Go on scholar.google.com and Google fucoidan, Fucoidan, that's the active ingredient in the Z-radical, in cancer and tumors, and you'll find all of this wonderful immune-boosting anti-cancer properties associated with the Z-radical. The Z-radical is also, the fucoidan in the Z-radical is also important for viruses, for HIV even, for Hep C even. Now you're going to start hearing, in the next month or two, you're going to start hearing advertisements for the flu vaccine. If you've been listening to this program, you've been listening to me, you know I don't believe in the flu vaccine. The flu vaccine is actually a vaccine that is designed to work on the flu from the previous year. The 2014 flu vaccine that you're going to hear about is a flu vaccine that's designed to fight the 2013 flu, last year's flu. And they do that every year. They pull that scam where they give you the flu vaccine that is designed to kill the virus from the year before. But you don't need a flu vaccine. You think Walgreens cares about you with their advertisement for the flu vaccine? They don't care about you. You don't need the flu vaccine. What you need is good nutrition to build your immune system, and one of the most powerful, natural, non-toxic, gentle, natural ways to make sure that you don't get the flu virus is to use the Z-radical. Fucoidan is powerfully antiviral in addition to being powerfully anti-cancer, in addition to being very, very important for building the immune system, in addition to being very, very important for coating the digestive tract. And remember, autoimmune diseases are digestive issues. We'll talk about the mechanism of how autoimmune diseases occur and the exact relationship between digestive health and digestive wellness and building a strong digestive system and autoimmunity on our call this Sunday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. 605-562-3140 is the dial-in number, and then participant access code 444-973-POUND. For Montana with lupus, don't forget about vitamin C, just like with our friend who's got the prolapse colon. Vitamin C, very important for building connective tissue. Vitamin C also has its own immune-boosting properties. You'll get 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C per 2 capfuls of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Of course, magnesium and calcium and taurine and arginine, all of these are wonderful ways that you can help support your immune system and get yourself off the drugs. What the heck is the point of prednisone and plaquenil and lisinopril and icardipine and spironolactone and all of these other poison toxic medications for a body that's already toxic, for a body that's already diseased, for a body that's already sick? This is the problem with the medical model. We're already sick, and now we got to deal with prescription drugs. Now we got to deal with more toxicity. Now we got to deal with more cleaning out the body. Now the liver's got more work to do, and the drugs aren't even helping anyway. The drugs aren't helping. The drugs are only masking symptomology. Why mask symptomology when you can correct symptomology? Why hide symptoms when you can change symptoms? And that's really the whole premise of The Bright Side. That's why we call this program The Bright Side. The body has a way of dealing with disease. All it needs to do is have the raw materials, the building blocks to do its work. All it needs to do is have a clean place to do its work. It's not that difficult, folks. That's what The Bright Side is about. Demystifying the medical model that would have us believing that our only option is going to the doctor and taking prescription drugs. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks so much for listening, friends. If you're interested in joining the Bright Side Ben team, love to have you on my team. I'm looking for a couple of business builders. If you're so inclined, 866-735-2470 is the phone number for the Bright Side Ben phone team. Or you can head over to brightsideben.com and click on the Join the Team link for a one-time $10 fee. You can join me in my mission to educate the world about the power and importance of a good nutritional supplement program and help change lives at the same time. Thanks for listening, folks. Have yourselves a wonderful, awesome, beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.